What's happening, fallible investors? AK here, and today I want to talk about why India is the next big trend. And it's not just India, but commodities in general are getting ready for a secular boom. Now I'm going to be explaining why you should be turning your investments to these two areas with the help of the S-curve. So let's get started. The first thing to understand, which is pretty obvious, is that as people's wealth increases, they buy more non-essential goods. So take me for example. As soon as I started making money, every time I went to a restaurant, I would order 3 appetizers, 2 main courses, and 3 desserts. It's the 3-2-3 split. Now, was that essential? Of course not, because one man can't eat all that food, but he can taste it. And we all know that the quality of your life is highly dependent on how many flavors you get to taste. Anyway, as people start buying a lot more non-essential goods, they start to consume a lot more commodities. And by commodities, I mean things like oil, gas, wheat, copper, livestock, all that good stuff. And actually, when they hit that level of wealth, the increase in commodities they use is exponential. And we could actually measure when that happens for a country by tracking their GDP per capita. Once GDP per capita hits a certain point, commodity consumption takes off. And this whole thing looks like an S-curve. Now in this graph, on the x-axis, you have GDP per capita, and on the bottom part of the y-axis, you have the energy consumption rate, and the top part of the y-axis is total energy consumption. And you can see that when a country hits their takeoff point, which is around $2,300 to $3,300 in GDP per capita, their energy consumption explodes. And this doesn't just happen in energy, the same thing happens in agriculture. As soon as people start making money, they want to eat more meat. And raising livestock is over 7 times more grain intensive than a simple plant-based diet. So you see agriculture explode too. And then of course people eventually get too much money, like in the US, and then they get bored. And then they decide that they don't want to eat meat anymore because they want to be vegan and drink hemp milk and save the environment by not eating eggs and avoiding leather. I just pray that the vegans know how many peanut plants they've slaughtered with all that peanut butter that they eat. But I guess no one cares about peanut plants, do they? Except maybe Mr. Peanut, because that's his mom that you're messing with. But anyway, we've already seen this S-curve phenomenon happen in China. The last secular bull market in commodities that started in the early 2000s and ended in 2011, well, that started because China hit that S-curve takeoff point. You can see in this chart how commodities, which are the red line, bottomed in 2002 and started an 11-year bull market right as China, which is the yellow line, was crossing that S-curve takeoff point. So if you actually bought the commodity index in 2000, right as the tech bubble was bursting, you would have compounded your money by more than 20% annually over the following decade. And guess who's about to hit that takeoff point next? India. India's GDP per capita is exactly where China's was in 2001, right before that last commodity bull market began. And India has a population of over 1.3 billion people, which is just 60 million less than China. So they are very comparable. And because of this, we think we're about to enter the largest period of commodity demand growth the global economy has ever experienced. Now, as this trend plays out, our team has a few ways to play it. First way is obviously through commodities, which if you've been following us for any amount of time, you've seen that we're pretty good at hitting oil trends. And the second is through equities that will actually directly benefit from India growing. We already talked about one of these plays in our May stock picks video, which I'll link to above. In that video, we go over Yatra Online, which is an online Indian travel company. So make sure you check that video out. And if you want to follow our team while we find more investments to play this trend, then make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit that bell so you get notifications when new videos are released. We publish about 3 videos a week on everything stock market related. And in the comments below, I'm going to link out to a macro ops article that goes into this whole S-curve idea in more depth. If you're interested in learning more, then make sure you read that article. And don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay fallible out there. Bye.